Welcome. My name is Dr. Gualamuz with I Am Acupuncture and Herbal Medicine. Hope you enjoy this video. Let's get started.
So what can Taoism or Taoist medicine or traditional Chinese medicine offer public health? We spoke earlier about Taoism or Taoist medicine having an as being inherently a complex adaptive system. The medical model having features within it that could take into consideration that there needs to be adaptability of the system to keep in balance when faced with all of these challenges and external demands. So let's take a look at how directly Taoism takes these or shows that it takes different variables into account. Well, this passage here that you see in front of you is taken from the Zheng, again, 2600 BC. So these are ancient scriptures from ancient doctors that were already considering what right now we're correlating as a complex adaptive system when we are correlating it or associating it to health, meaning that they were already considering that health was a consequence of a multifactorial system. If we take a look, this is, by the way, the Huandine Jing is considered or referred to as the Yellow Emperor's classic of medicine, something like that, I believe. And it, in its first chapter, one of the first paragraphs, this is one of the phrases it has, and this paragraph here in specific is the Emperor Huangdi speaking to Bo, which is his, I guess, prime physician, or I forget. I read this a really long time ago, and so I forget. But I know Bo is responding to the Emperor, which is one of the top physicians, and he is stating how the ancient communities and their elders were said to have lived very long lives. We're here saying over 100 years. And by saying over 100 years, later on in the book, they actually define what that means. They don't only mean living over 100 years, they mean living over 100 years and working in the same things that they were working in their whole lives, meaning that they had high quality of life and they were as strong as they were when they were dying as when they were maybe in their late 30s, 40s, 50s. So this is a very bold statement. Now, we won't say to take it at face value, although I think that it can be probably verified if we apply this in our daily lives. But at the very least, we can appreciate that their prescription for a long life is very common sense and applies very much to our current understanding of what a complex adaptive system looks like when it's applied to health and to the human body, and if we were to take it as a medical prescription. So they ate a balanced diet at regular times, arose and retired at regular hours, and so on and so forth. All of this comes from acupuncture's platform. This book is the foundational text that we learn throughout our curriculum. This is obviously just one paragraph, but this is the context that we're learning medicine in the integrative paradigm, right? So we're already taking these aspects into consideration, and acupuncture is actually simply just one of the tools that we use to reestablish a balance, to reestablish harmony within the system. And we're going to maybe talk about that in more depth later. But here we're talking about specifically the concept of health from the ideology or the mindset of the Taoist doctor, coming from 26 BC. So taking this into account, we can appreciate that there may be things that we can incorporate from these. So integrative medicine doesn't only mean taking from different disciplines, but also taking from different ages, meaning we can look to the past and appreciate that there's something that there to be offered. So let's take a look at what Taoist medicine actually can offer, and we can find this specifically through the research that's been done through its diagnostic model. So the Taoist medical model has a specific diagnostic approach, and it's called syndrome differentiation, or one of them at least. Syndrome differentiation is a culmination of different different causation theories and or observation techniques, and each of them have certain implications. And so bringing these together is what syndrome differentiation uses to arrive at a diagnosis. Now, leaving that aside, I want to make it a little bit simpler than that. Research is showing that syndrome differentiation can actually enhance our medical diagnostic system currently today. One of the studies that was done to show this, it's very interesting. I was very excited to read this research. It was recent, and again, the references are at the back, or we can share them with you if you contact us. Was with rheumatoid arthritis. So allopathic medicine, the biomedical way of diagnosing rheumatoid arthritis, was provided by MDs and biomedical doctors. And so there was a group of patients who was categorized as RA, right? So rheumatoid arthritis. They were the biological markers and all of the correlating subjective features and symptomatic and syndromatic evidence was there to label these patients with rheumatoid arthritis. So they had that group, and what they did was, let me give a little background here. So if we diagnose a patient or a group of people with rheumatoid arthritis, that's about it. That's what we have for those patients. You are diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. This is what we can do for you. These are the medications, or these are the techniques, and these are your recommendations. Now, what Taoist medicine comes in and offers through syndrome differentiation, it says, wait a minute, we can further subcategorize these groups and allow these patients to be seen through an individual and customized lens, so that we can provide them with a personal treatment plan. Now, they use only one dimension of syndrome differentiation, but it was very effective. And so what they did is they subcategorized, they subcategorized the group in two sections. So they had a cold group and they had a hot group. So you have one whole group of RA, and then they took these two groups, and they took this one group and divided it into two: a hot group of RA and a cold group of RA. Now, let me explain how they did that, why, and what that means. One of the ways that we diagnose through syndrome differentiation is appreciating if a patient is impacted by what we call a cold phenomena or a hot phenomena. Now, the patients in the RA group and the rheumatoid arthritis who were categorized and subgrouped in the cold group, so they were patients afflicted by the cold phenomena, were patients who were aggravated, their pain was aggravated by cold, their pain was alleviated by heat, they had stiff joints, and there was no apparent redness or anything like that in the areas of pain, and probably some other features as well. We're not going to get too deep into specifics. The other RA group, the hot group, was the features that apply to the hot group are that the pain is aggravated by heat, it's made better by cold, and they were showing redness and intensified pain in the regions of pain. So that was the hot group. And again, there's many other features that correlate to what we call hot phenomena, because it's syndromatic. So it clearly demarcated two groups. Well, what happened was very interesting. When they subcategorized these two groups and they reanalyzed lab work, the cold group had specific biomarkers, receptor sites that were like DNA receptor sites that were specific to the cold group, and there was equally a distinct difference in the hot group. So you can personalize diagnose by further subtyping diseases using syndrome differentiation, which means what? Means that we can also use more personalized treatment as opposed to just giving one treatment to the whole RA group. And this is what Taoist medicine can offer, along with a host of other things, as we continue to research and find different bridges of how to connect this reductionist model to this phenomenological and broad scale and global way of viewing medicine and health.